I'm really passionate about talking about grief. Now, that sounds a little bit counterintuitive as I'm a solution-focused hypnotherapist. So clearly, talking about solutions over problems. However, I believe strongly that grief can be the solution to our problems. So just bear with me and I'll explain what I mean. Now, I met grief very early on in my life in a way that I was not expecting. I was in my early 20s and my dad was suddenly diagnosed with leukemia, and the doctor told me that he only had 2 to 3 months to live. And that's basically how I met grief. I went from working in television, going to parties, not having really that much to worry and care about, to suddenly being the full-time carer of my own dying father and then losing him at 24 years old. That short, sharp shock entry point into grief changed my world forever. I suddenly felt like I had to grow up, I had to become emotionally intelligent, and I had to learn to navigate this very, very difficult and complicated and uncomfortable pathway all on my own. So what I did was flounder around for quite a long time. But then, because I was really good at writing, I started to write my thoughts and feelings down. And that's where Good Grief was born. Good Grief was my first book. And it wasn't because I was trying to write a book. It was because I was trying to navigate my own journey of personal loss and bewilderment. Now, on the back of that self-published book, I then was commissioned in 2020 to write my second book, which is called Planet Grief. Now, the books are very, very different in energy. So Good Grief is really dealing with my personal loss of my parents and how I coped with death. And it's very much associated with death. Now, the interesting thing, and this is really what I want you to really understand here, is that I realized that grief was not related to death only. That actually we can spend a lot of our lives in grief, even when there's nobody that's died. Now, that's something that not many people understand or talk about. And that's basically the basis of Planet Grief, how we grieve in life. And life grief can take the form of things like moving home, getting married, having a baby, relationship breakdown, relocating, business loss, loss of identity, loss of purpose, loss of mission. There are so many life griefs that we face, and we don't understand that this is actually grief. And that's why this book is not just related to the losses around death, but it's also related to all of the losses we face in life. So I hope that explains a little bit about why, as a solution-focused hypnotherapist, I'm so passionate about talking about grief, because through grief, I've discovered strength. Through grief, I've discovered gratitude. And through my loss, I've discovered love. Through my pain, I've discovered power. And that's the message I'd love to share with you today.